and this is the time Beth and I get together and we start talking about what's happening here in the world. We've got a couple of issues we want to talk about tonight. And while I'm waiting for Beth, I'd like to thank our sponsors. Sponsor list is growing, y'all. We've got now Keishi, of course, the Zuni Connection has been a valued sponsor this whole time, and we really appreciate what they do. Thank you, Keishi. They're at 227 Don Gaspar, downtown in Santa Fe. And folks, I tell you, the most authentic, the best of the best art directly from the people of the Zuni Pueblo. And I cannot even describe. You just got to go into 227 Don Gaspar or go online to keshi.com, KESHI.com. Folks, the stuff is stunning. They've got jewelry. They've got kachinas. They've got, fetishes. They've got everything. And Beth is coming in right now with us. And we're very happy to have her joining us now. We've got a couple of issues to discuss. So again, thank you to Keishi, the Zuni Connection, for your sponsorship of this podcast. And we appreciate everything you do. And the Keishi Foundation as well, folks. Y'all check them out, thekeishifoundation.org. They do wonderful work to sustain art and culture, and you should support them too. And we also want to say thanks to the Legacy Pawn Shop right there on Cerritos Road in Santa Fe. Great merchandise, beats retail every time, and they even have 100% trade back policy. If you're not satisfied, if you've got a receipt, you can get stuff back in there. It's a wonderful operation, so y'all check them out too, and tell them Call a Reason sent you. Welcome, Beth, and oh my goodness, we had a State of the Union address a couple nights ago, and a response by Stacey Abrams, which has both been widely analyzed. And I don't necessarily want to give Donald Trump any credence. I mean, he basically, told the same lies he's been telling, for in all other situations and circumstances. But some notable omissions from the State of the Union were the fact that he didn't mention his 35-day shutdown, nor the people who suffered from it at all. He didn't mention the tunnels that they keep finding at record paces now under this so-called border wall that he says is essential to American national security. He didn't mention the fact that we had to borrow $1 trillion earlier this week to cover the massive deficit that the borrow and binge Republican Congress has created. And that has already started to put pressure on our economy. There are a lot of things he left out of the State of the Union that I thought were worth discussing.
Yeah, and those things that you mentioned that he left out, for the most part, Stacey Abrams addressed those issues. She talked about the government shutdown and how we should never again let it be that the federal workers go without being paid. And now, in addition to that, there are bills being introduced and talk of also making things whole with the contract workers because, and honestly, I don't know how the federal government gets away. This is like a little sideline note about contract workers because abortions do not happen that late in a pregnancy unless the pregnancy is doomed or the health of the mother is severely in jeopardy. And I actually have had a couple of friends who have had to go through these before, and it's so painful. The pregnancy was wanted, and I just can't imagine why anyone thinks it's Donald Trump's or anyone's business to intervene in something like that. So we just had to get the facts straight on that.
I agree.
I did not want to belabor anything that Trump said, but I think it's important that we get facts out on things.
Well, I think it's also important. I think it's also important to point out that he has all too often overly dramatized the facts of any particular situation. In fact, it's been widely speculated and really with great evidence since the movie's out currently on Stars, and you can watch it for yourself if you have Stars, the channel. The way he described how young girls were being abducted and duct taped and prayer rugs being found in the desert. All those things were from the opening scene of the movie Sicario, Revenge of the Soledad or Return of the Soledad or whatever. And so now he's, he takes movie scenes and tries to, spin them into his talking points about what's happening on the border. And I think he's done a little bit of that with this abortion thing. He really took circumstances that are far from what would be typical, what is typical, what actually happens, just a complete alternate reality, and just use the setting of the State of the Union address to deliver that delusional propaganda. And so I thought Stacey Abrams' response, although it was only 10 minutes, was quite succinct and quite on point. I think she made some points that most Americans felt. I think most people who watched the speech, if they weren't cult members, all Trump did was confirm what amount of distance he's willing to take propaganda in order to make a point. I thought that the way that the Democratic women clapped back at him, the way when he tried to tell them to keep standing because he was gonna acknowledge their existence, basically, that was kind of funny to me, because even Nancy Pelosi thought that was hilarious, and they were like, "Yeah, we're here because of you. Thanks, Don."
Yeah, exactly. The joke's on you, motherfucker. It's just like, that was crazy.
Yeah.
And the other thing, Loveless, that I did not like was the whole USA, weird chant. And, there was one particular congressman who was just like, yeah, after everything he said, it was just like a bunch of sycophants. And it was just, we listened to it, we didn't watch it. And I listened to it because I knew that we would be commenting on it. But once it was over, I was like, you know what, we don't need to spend a lot of time.
Well, what was funniest, the funniest part of the whole evening for me was, both sides, they do a lot of posturing on both sides. They do so by the guests that they bring to sit in the gallery. And Trump is so precise with his props. I found that the funniest part of the whole evening for me was the realization that Donald Trump's namesake prop, the little kid who had been bullied because his name was Trump, fell asleep like 5 minutes into the whole thing and slept soundly like a baby for the entire speech. And that just, to me, was priceless. Now, Beth, I wanted to pivot and shift gears before we talk about our main topic tonight, which will be Alexandra Octavia Cortez. I wanted to just talk briefly about what's been happening in Virginia, because as we know, there's quite a lot going on there. Now it seems like the entire succession order of the Virginia government right now has scandalous content swirling around. Most of it is racial, with the exception of the lieutenant governor, who is having his own personal Me Too movement right now, Me Too movement moment right now, and it's serious business. And so there's no reason to doubt the credibility of his accuser either. And so it's quite a quagmire because we don't know what's what. We don't know what was consensual, what was not. We don't know, how each individual is defining that word. That's such a slippery slope. But in any instance, when it goes to on the easier stuff, on the blackface stuff, my caution has always been when it came to Governor Northam, of course I've agreed that his behavior and especially his press conference and explanation were quite egregious. I hadn't been able to muster, Beth, any more or additional outrage at Northam's scandal than I have at that of Mitch McConnell or any other racist from whatever political party they're in. And so I haven't been able to muster any more outrage over Northam or anybody else in the Democratic Party, just like I wasn't able to muster more outrage for Al Franken's transgressions than I was for grabbing him by the pussy on tape. Like, I refuse for the Democrats, and I salute the Democrats for policing their own so authentically and so consistently, which they do. When the Democrats step out of line on this kind of stuff, Democrats come down hard on their own. They don't hesitate. I do give Democrats credit for that. But when the Republicans pile on, like, yeah, Donald Trump has to somehow tweet about someone and sexual harassment or racism, I'm not comfortable with that. And because I don't have any more outrage over what Ralph Northam did than I do for Mitch McConnell and his racist Confederate flag pictures and all the other racists Steve King, like all these people that we keep giving passes to on the Republican side, and then now the Democrats' lives have to be destroyed. I'm not really cool with that. Listen, if Northam has to resign, then every racist in Congress and the president needs to resign as well. That's my attitude, because none of those racist ass expressions of those folk are any less egregious than Ralph Northam, something he did 35 years ago. Okay, Ralph Northam, 35 years ago. Shame on you. What about Steve King, who did some shit last week? What about Donald Trump, who did some shit yesterday? If Northam has to go, they all have to go. That's my humble opinion.
And I agree with you, Loveless, and the thing, and I believe that, by the way, we believe that Northam has to go. We're not saying that we're rescinding how we feel about that.
No, I'm not. But I'm saying let's get it all done. Let's not nickel and dime ourselves to death. If we're getting rid of racists, let's get rid of them all at once. They all need to go. They all need to go.
What's interesting, Loveless, is that while the president is tweeting that shit out, you know who's silent? Who's silent? The House Minority Leader and Mitch McConnell. They haven't said shit because there's probably pictures of all of them wearing black.
That's my point. If Northam has to go, let's go ahead on and clean house of white supremacists once and for all. And let's get rid of them all. They all need to be called to resign. I'm not going to stand by or be complicit anymore in this scapegoating, the one person we can scapegoat and make the bad guy in this news cycle, i.e. Northam, when we heard Steve King get censured for racist shit he said last week. That's what I'm saying. We can't punish people and scapegoat 35-year-old transgressions while we stand by and give a pass and act like we didn't hear what somebody said yesterday or did yesterday. They all need to go. Like with the same amount of fervency. Like if we're going to be so zealous about Ralph Northam going, we're so indignant now. We're fuck that. All of them need to receive the same treatment. Don't you get it? We cannot allow Northam to go out as a scapegoat and everybody else get a pass. He does need to go, but they all need to go. We cannot let this be a scapegoat moment. This needs to be a transformational moment, y'all. We need to start demanding everybody's resignation.
But Loveless, there is an update to this story, in Virginia, because what's interesting is that the Senate Majority Leader, who is Republican, back in the 60s, I think this is the story, at perhaps the same school or a different school, was in charge of editing and approving a yearbook that had all similar pictures like that.
Yeah, the whole yearbook. But this was in 68. This guy's really old. He's in his 70s. He's a Republican. So again, they're all complicit. That's my point. I'm not going to stay on the let's get rid of Northam bandwagon and be complicit with turning my other way, looking the other way at all the rest of these damn races. If this cannot be a scapegoatable moment. Another, let's just pulverize the shit out of this guy during this news cycle. No, let's make this a moment of transformation and let's start calling for all the resignations of all the confirmed racists we know we have in public service, particularly in the Congress. And listen, folks, don't stop with them. Figure out who on your damn county commission, on your city council, on your school board who's a racist asshole. Get rid of them too. Out them on social media. That shit applies locally too. Out them on social media. Get rid of them. All of them need to go. Don't you get it? This is an opportunity for us to transform America right now. Don't just pile on Northam because he's the racist du jour that's popular. Northam's got to go. Fuck that. They all need to go. All of them. Not for the motherfuckers who did some shit 35 years ago. Think about the people who did some shit yesterday, last week. Those are the ones who need to go too, y'all. For real. Because otherwise it's just bullshit, propaganda, falling into the mainstream media's news cycle whims and Trump's cult. Period. Come on, y'all. Let's get real about it now. Let's get real. We can't scapegoat one racist. They all need to go. All of them. If y'all for real about it. Otherwise, y'all just full of shit too. I'm just keeping it real tonight, Beth. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. They all need to go. But the superstar tonight is Octavia Cortez, Alexandra Octavia Cortez. She's the star. She is turning Congress on its ear, Beth. She is turning Congress on. And they talking about primarying her. They need to be worried about who she think about primarying. Because she keeps bringing up points that a vast majority of America actually agrees with.
So let's just start with the State of the Union and how she walked in a cape. And we're not really supposed to be talking about women in their clothes, but she walked in a cape.
Right.
I'm not saying she's a superhero or whatnot, but there's this awesome picture of a meme that I saw, and I don't like to post memes, so I could not resist this one, where she's walking in her cape and all the men are lined up looking at her, and the meme's caption reads, "Yeah, this is what it looks like when a woman walks in the room and she doesn't give a shit who your daddy is."
Right.
Awesome.
Right. I saw that meme. I love that one too. Because
Cool.
she could give a goddamn about who your daddy is to them. She don't give a damn. She does not give a damn at all.
And then of course she did the clap back with Peggy Noonan when she called her a sullen teenager, and she essentially said,
Yeah, that was funny.
Our country down the shitter. I don't owe anyone a smile during the State of the Union. I mean, she really just and the Twitter universe was going off on Peggy Noonan, and so that was fun to watch. But let's talk about the substantive things, for Kate and Twitter. That's awesome, and she definitely knows how to use Twitter to her advantage and to get the right kind of attention to her. But let's talk about the substantive
Mm-hmm.
and she served her questions out to these experts like little canopies or little dumplings, and it was like in a way that you could just absorb them and be like, yeah. But essentially, Walter Shaw was there, who used to work for the federal government in ethics, and
Mm-hmm.
of course he left or got shuttled out because of course Trump can't stand anybody who might hold him accountable for anything.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's the leader of an organization that's kind of like Common Cause, that's like a watchdog organization.
Mm-hmm.
So he was on the panel and several other experts in this, and essentially she walked through it and just said, okay, say I'm gonna run for office and I'm a bad guy, and instead of like doing the work of the American people,
Mm-hmm.
I want to use my campaign to enrich myself. And so she goes through a series of questions. If I decide to, can I only take money from corporations? Yes, you can.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes on, and then if I get elected, can I sit on committees and vote for bills that impact companies where I hold stocks, where I can manipulate, where my vote might manipulate the stock market where I make a lot of money? Is there any rule that says I can't do that? Nope. And then at the end, she says, I posted it to our Facebook account. You gotta watch it. But then at the end, she says, okay, so it's pretty clear that I can be a bad guy in Congress. What about the executive branch? Is the president susceptible to more regulation, less regulation? What's going on here?
Right.
And Walter Shaw essentially says there's virtually no regulation on the presidency.
No regulation.
So to be clear, I could be a really bad guy, but I can be an even worse guy if I'm president. And she did it beautifully. And then today, of course, she introduced the Green New Deal, and I haven't read all of the bill yet, but just having come home from a trip to Europe a few weeks ago where we took the train everywhere, I zeroed in on the piece that talked about countrywide rail and not having to get on a plane and be treated like chattel every time I, go to JFK or somewhere. And so I'm really interested in reading the bill, finding out what it's all about, and figuring out which pieces I support and which pieces I don't. So yeah.
Well, hopefully the bill will be taken seriously enough to at least be put in committee so that amendments can start to shape up for it, because it could, as a piece of foundational framework, if it can survive as a foundational bill that can be amended to accommodate the experience that exists not only topically subject by subject, but also in Congress and the congressional process as well. This could be a great learning experience for her, but it also could represent some major strides forward towards saving this nation and the planet from the path of doom we're on. Because anyone who's denying that if we just don't do anything and just keep doing what we're doing today, and somehow all the predictions of our clear demise are not true and won't happen, you're living in a delusion that's going to get you killed, essentially.
So what's interesting about this bill is that it's a resolution. It's a non-binding resolution, meaning that it's and I don't know if it must go through the committee process, so it's not just an up or down vote, but it's a resolution. It's a declaration, which means it's essentially a declaration, and it's just a statement of someone's commitment to doing all of these things. So it doesn't actually have policy-wise any teeth in it. I think the value of the bill is putting people on record so that we know who cares about the environment and who does not. Now, it may not be 100% clear, like before Loveless and I went on air, like he doesn't consider
Mm-hmm.
And so, and these things
Hey,
are like
hey,
in the
Beth,
60s
guess
and
what?
70s. These are
Medicare,
close.
Medicare is considered socialism. Social Security, but also corporate welfare is also socialism. Okay, and speaking,
I think that's a little murky, but yeah.
well, it's also socialism. And speaking of, the public library is socialism, y'all. So when you hear that word and you hear the demagogues try to demonize the notion of the government benefiting the greater good of all of society, I hate to say it, but that's kind of what America was founded on and how the Constitution is set up. Okay, and let me also point out that when it comes to this, the how things are mischaracterized, and then words are actually turned, words that aren't evil are made to feel evil based on propaganda, right? Your public library is socialism. Okay, the fact that you don't have to pay for your kids to get at least a basic education is socialism. Okay, according to the classic definition. And I say again, corporate welfare is socialism. All those billionaires' pockets who are getting lined and making you think socialism is evil, they're the biggest beneficiaries of socialism in reality. And Beth, on that note, when it comes to how propaganda's got you all twisted up, while you guys were rah rah, cheer cheer, yay 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 for the big Trump and GOP borrow and binge Republican Congress tax cut, now the chickens are coming home to roost, and we're seeing quotes from Trump voters like saying, Ben Williams, a lawyer in New York City, Trump voter, who said he earned the same amount of money last year as he had the year before, but wound up with a totally different tax situation this year. He said, last year, I got a $750 refund. This year, I owe $4,600.
First, we said that. We said you're going to get, and I'm sure he earns more than $75,000 a year. I'm not sure how that worked unless that's the $5,000 small business tax, which if you've ever had a small business before, you know that one. That's a tough tax.
He lost his refund not only because of the changes in the law, but also because of how the administration implemented the law. And again, all the things that middle class, working class, poor people depended on in tax law have been taken away and given so that the very uber wealthy, the top 1%, can just get more money piled into their pockets, y'all. We kept telling y'all it was a sham. We kept telling you it was a sham. Yeah, we kept telling you it was a sham. We kept telling you what was going to happen. But y'all voted for him anyway. Y'all let him off the hook. Y'all gave him a pass. And now you see oh my God, it's only going to get worse, y'all. We're going to hear these stories time and time and time again. It won't be long before the mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, even Fox News, everybody, Lester Holt, George Stephanopoulos, everybody is going to be reporting on the sob story after sob story after sob story of some family's life being devastated by the fact they now owe the government $3,000 instead of getting the $5,000 tax refund they thought they were going to get. The swing from your ordinary people, middle class pocket, as you watch it go into the pocket of the very uber wealthy in the form of you seeing the reality that you now have to pay the government money so those rich son bitches can get more paid in their pocket. And you read stories that your job and other corporations aren't hiring more people. They aren't giving anybody raises. They aren't adding money into your pocket so that the workforce can be stronger and more stable. None of the promise, not a single promise the Republicans made about that tax cut has come true. And now, what Beth and I have been saying the entire time, unfortunately, is starting to come true. And Beth, the saddest part about it is that we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, that's right. So, what I always think is an interesting conversation is like in Britain and in Germany and some of the countries in Europe, we do have nationalized healthcare. And, people, oh, but the taxes. And I guarantee you people in the United States are paying way more out of pocket for their healthcare than they would be paying in taxes if we had nationalized healthcare. And everybody's like, well, the corporations, they won't hire as many people if they get taxed more. You know what the corporations won't have to pay for anymore? Healthcare benefits.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll see a savings too. Not only will they see a savings, but people who rely on part-time minimum wage workers, if they have healthcare, then they have healthier people coming to work. There aren't as many sick days. There's not as much turnover.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many benefits, and the reasons why corporations and people stay in Europe and live there and don't move away from there because of their tax burden is because they like their lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
They like hopping on a train and not having to take a car everywhere. They like hopping on a train and not having to be treated like chattel at the airport every time they need to go somewhere.
I agree.
They like being able to go to somewhere. They like their lifestyle. If they become burdened by taxes and by their healthcare system, they'd be plowing down out the southern border and the northern border in Canada. Canada, who has nationalized healthcare, they are not coming to the United States in droves to get their healthcare. No, they're not. And in fact, the opposite has happened because what we know is Kentucky U.S. Senator Rand Paul got his surgery done in Canada.
He sure did.
Now, think about that. He is a man of means. He's a doctor. He's a U.S. Senator. He could probably go to any doctor he wanted to in the United States of America. But what did he choose to do?
He went to Canada.
He went to Canada.
Now,
we don't have socialized healthcare here, so theoretically, if the capitalism piece of healthcare were working properly, you would have doctors competing to be the best doctor, therefore providing the best care and the best possible person that Rand Paul could go to for that surgery. But what did he do? He went to Canada.
he sure did.
So,
He sure did.
people who are kind of in the middle, who are afraid of these things, look to Europe. Look to our neighbors in Canada. Hell, look to Mexico, because you know what's happening in Mexico? People are going to the dentist in Mexico. They are getting prescription drugs in Mexico, and they're doing minor surgeries in Mexico so that they don't have to pay out of pocket for surgeries. They're getting plastic surgery. They're getting elective surgery done in Mexico.
Right.
Because the quality is the same or similar, and it costs less. Think about that.
And, again, when it comes to Mexico, another red pill reality check, 90% of all the Americans living in Mexico are there illegally. Just a little bit of irony and that's an actual fact, just to give you, and there are millions of Americans living in Mexico. They're estimated to be 5 or 6 million American expats living in Mexico, and over 90% of them are doing so illegally, according to Mexico's immigration law. So, just imagine, just let that marinate for a second. Now, Beth, I don't want to talk about it because I don't have all the facts, but I do want to just point out that Representative Gates, a Republican congressperson, Representative Matt Gates, tried to have 2 parents of murdered Parkland, Florida students from Stoneman Douglas High School removed from a hearing for interrupting him and calling him on his bullshit propaganda. He was, trying to leverage their deaths, their children's deaths, into justification for Trump's fucking wall and these people were not having that shit. And he, instead of humbling himself, like he works for them, and that's what makes me so angry about these members of Congress, especially. They're now trying to treat Americans like somehow we need to treat them like they're our boss. They work for us, y'all. They work for you. And for them, he wants to have them removed for as citizens, pointing out they're sick of hearing about his goddamn Trump cult propaganda, and they want some answers and accountability for what's going to happen to keep other parents from having to stand there with murdered children. And all he can think to do is try to have him kicked out because they're making him feel uncomfortable and calling his ass out to account. What kind of upside down world and country are we living in right now, y'all? And what the hell are you going to do about it is a better question.
So there was also on that same note, and it was Fred Gutenberg was one of the ones that they tried to kick out, but as you said, he wasn't having it. Not only that, but got called out by other Congress people. One of the elected officials then said, "What are we entering into the congressional record?" And they were referring, I think, to Representative Matt Gaetz, and essentially just said, "Look, you can't just sit here and lie to the American public." And that was
right.
The other thing about that hearing, Loveless, is that it was the first one in 8 years.
Right.
On gun violence.
Right. Okay.
First one in 8 years.
Right. And Beth, I know we're going to make this a short podcast, so we're not going to be with y'all very much longer, but I do want to point out that you are with Loveless and Beth on CTR on the side. This is our Thurssday podcast, and I do have a beer here to say chin chin. And Beth, I just want to cover a couple of the highlights that I do think are worth it. Number one, the Mueller investigation is apparently getting near the end, but there are several other investigations underway by the Southern District of New York and other prosecutorial jurisdictions. And we've heard recently from the Southern District where Maria Butina, wherever she's being charged, her lover, her longtime lover is now also, he's an American, and he's also now pleading guilty to a set of espionage charges and against the United States. So that web is getting thicker. I also wanted to point out that when it comes to children being separated at the border, the Trump administration is now trying to spin not only to the American people, but in court, that it would be more traumatic to reunite these kids with their parents than it was separating them in the first place. And we also have found out that a lot of these kids, they're trying to adopt them out to an agency associated with Betsy DeVos. So maybe someone in the administration is making a profit off these kids. And the administration is actually, with a straight face, y'all, trying to say that it would be too traumatic to reunite these children with the parents they were snatched from. This is the government that we have in charge right now, people. Do you understand why it's so important to take action right now? These things are disgraceful.
This is authoritarian regime style.
Yeah, we cannot get used to it. We cannot get used to it.
But back to the gentleman that was the lover of the Russian woman that had infiltrated the NRA, his charges are actually fraud related and not yet related to espionage, I don't think. But it was like more scams that he had engaged in, cheating people out of money so far. But it's still, and that came out of the court in Iowa.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird.
It is kind of weird.
It was kind of like, this investigation is sort of just like, it's starting to be everywhere.
Right.
The other, there was another.
I'm not going to make big commentary. Terry, I'll let you say a word or two if you want. I just want to rip through a few other quick things that are worth noticing. This is Thurssday. We didn't podcast Tuesday. Couple of things. Elizabeth Warren, they've unearthed an application for the Texas bar where she did list herself as an American Indian. I've seen the document. It's her. I don't even know what to say except this. Maybe she might want to not run for president right now because they're gonna have a field day with that one. But we also see newly unearthed footage, video footage, showing Donald Trump meeting with the mayor of Moscow and other top Russians in 1995, trying to build an underground mall in Russia in 95 on camera. Pictures, video, the whole shebang. So the fact that he act like he ain't never heard no Russia is bullshit. More proof to that. The House just voted to send all the Trump team transcripts of people who've testified before the House in the previous Congress. All their full transcripts are going to Mueller. So all the rest of the liars are now about to be exposed in full. And one other thing about Virginia, Beth, that really, before we go back to Virginia, the Utah GOP, they voted to roll back the voter approved. They just had a big referendum in November where the voters approved a Medicaid expansion. The first thing the Utah legislature does when they come back into session is vote to limit the expansion that the voters just voted in. This is how bold and how delusional and how out of touch with voters the Republican Party nationwide is. People, state after state, they continue to thumb their nose at the will of the people. And even when voters directly vote some shit in, the Republican Party will act like they know best and they're going to do what the hell they want to do anyway, which is why you cannot in good conscience keep voting for these goddamn cult members, y'all. Come on.
It's time to take it a step further. This is oppression. This isn't just like...
It's fascism. You cannot treat the people like they work for you. Yes, you cannot treat the people like they work for you. People, you cannot allow these politicians to treat us like we work for them. When we vote some shit on a referendum, goddammit, that's what has to be made law. They have to accept it. I don't give a fuck what political party they're in or what the fuck their personal beliefs are or their religion or any damn other thing. That's not what government is designed to do. Government is not designed for them to express their personal religious beliefs. Government is designed to implement the will of the people, period. Nothing else. There is no if, ands, or but, no more, no less. Y'all gotta stop letting these sons of bitches do what the fuck they want instead of what we have voted for them to do, period. I'm sorry. Citizen action matters, y'all. Real patriots stand up. Get up, y'all. Stop this bullshit sitting around, man. Look at what they're doing. Look at what they're doing. And Beth, in Virginia, we got all these men being accused of shit. Got one guy on the one hand, can't ascend the governorship now because somebody has said he did this or that, sexual harassment. But at the same time, we got Virginia women killing the ability for Virginia to ratify the ERA. What the hell what is going on in Virginia?
I don't know. And now it's not just Ralph Northam and it's not just the lieutenant governor, but the third person in line to take the House if those two not be able to continue to do their job. Now he's had to come forward and say that he was in blackface.
And the fourth person in line, who happens to be a Republican, not only did the blackface in the yearbook, he published the whole yearbook with full of blackface.
He's the Senate Majority Leader.
He is a Republican, Beth.
Yeah.
The House Speaker, the guy in the House who was going to take over, the Attorney General is the one who came out with the blackface in 1980. Now the Senate Majority Leader, who would be fourth in line, he also published the whole damn yearbook.
Here's the deal, and what people need to understand about Virginia, they fool people because Virginia is next to DC and pretty much the northern part, from Richmond and above why it's purple and probably blue now in statewide elections. What you got to realize is that Richmond, I've campaigned there, spent a lot of time there. Richmond is the seat of the Confederacy, or was the seat of the Confederacy. There is a museum dedicated to this. I, on the campaign trail, personally went to a talk that was given there about the underground tunnels used in the Civil War, and people are still fascinated by this shit.
Yep.
Fascinated by it.
They are.
And they study it, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't study our history. We should be studying it because we don't want to repeat it, not because we're somehow fetishized and fascinated by it. There's still an issue of their Civil War monuments. Democrats and Republicans alike engage in some stuff that racist things that, you know, for anyone living here, maybe it might be foreign, and, you know, certainly in Atlanta, you know, in a city that's been governed by a black mayor now for several decades. It might be a little foreign to us, but this sort of, it knows no, it's not like it's partisan. It's there and it's real, and the progressives there who are trying to push, we need to get past the Civil War and take these monuments down. There's still plenty of Democrats there who don't think that should be the case, and there's a lot of work to be done in Southern Virginia. I say that as someone who is actually from there.
Well, on a final note, Beth, before we take off tonight, I just wanted to say that I thought it was ironic that, you know, the timing of, you know, when Richard Nixon ultimately ended up, you know, leaving, and juxtaposed against the State of the Union address, where he said that it was time for the investigations into his administration to end. That was another notable. You know, similarity to Trump's State of the Union speech the other night. Was that he called to an end investigation. He said he tried to do a Don King on us. He tried to rhyme it out. He tried to do a rhyme, you know, with wars and, you know, what did he say? With instead of wars and how did he say we need?
It was like instead of peace and something, we'll have wars and.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, it was like legislation. Instead of peace and legislating, we'll have
wars and investigating, and that won't work. And so we can't investigate him, and we plan on. And the only thing that will stop the economy is investigating him.
So let's be honest about this whole thing with Nixon. I'm not a Nixon fan, but if you look back at Nixon, Nixon did. His wife actually supported the ERA. Number one. Number two, he actually started the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency.
He also created affirmative action. He started the SBA. He started the SBA as well.
Nixon is a powder puff compared to Trump. Like, everything that Nixon did pales in comparison to what we have now in a president.
It's true.
Nixon never said we won't have peace, we won't have prosperity, we won't have legislation if you continue these investigations. He never threatened anything like that. He said it needs to stop. But Trump just takes it.
Well,
Like, he looks at whatever Nixon did and said, you know what? That's the kernel of a good idea. Why don't I make it into a whole bowl of popcorn?
yeah. Well, and keep in mind that he said it right after it all dropped, that his inaugural Committee is in huge hot water now. Like, they're subpoenaing everything. They're getting all the records to everything. They over $100 million, unprecedented amount of money. They're looking at all kind of money laundering, fraud, foreign government interference. Like they found a rabbit hole that's worth going down. It's really got him scared, and it forced him to tell people to stop investigating him during the State of the Union. Now, I also want to point out that $500 million, $460 million worth of cocaine was recently seized around our coastline by the Coast Guard. 18 tons of cocaine. And they seized $500 million worth of cocaine, did the Coast Guard, and guess what? Did not use one brick of a wall to get it. Just let that marinate for a bit, y'all. Don't even need to comment on that. That's just a factoid you need to know. You also need to know that the firm owned by Trump, and this is why they're investigating his Inauguration Committee, the firm owned by his inaugural chair planned a profit while avoiding any of appearance of lobbying operation, totally disgusted with all the inside the Trump circle. And that's why they're looking at who was involved in this inauguration, who gave money, what did they expect, who got tickets to what. This is about to be a big mess, y'all. This could end up as a whole separate investigation by itself. It's way bigger than you're thinking right now, Beth. I'm just saying, folks need to know about it. Because I don't want people to act like we didn't tell them first. Because we always do.
So on that note, there's a book that came out this week from one of Trump's former employees who still, like all the rest of them, say, oh yeah, we still support Trump. But also, I hate capital or callous intrigue and stories. But the interesting part about this book is it was discussing Trump's schedule, and that there's like a whole private schedule with like 6 and 7 hours every day marked out for executive time where he watches TV and stuff. This isn't new news. But what happened this week was that one of the major people on his staff that's crafting his messages or serves like as an advisor, she tweeted out that she thought it was disgusting and immoral that someone would write a tell-all and that Trump's schedule should be private. And I'm probably not going to use her for shut the hell up this week, but I am going to say this is how far gone this presidency is, because what we're accustomed to in the United States of America is that the president's schedule is public, and it gets published every week. The press secretary comes out, discusses the schedule. It's been very transparent. Not to say that there aren't secret meetings that happen because of national security or because of the material being classified. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but by and large, we have up until this point enjoyed some sort of transparency about our leader's schedule, and it's kept a secret. And the fact that someone who supports Trump and is advising Trump and is employed by Trump is tweeting out how horrible it is to have someone's schedule exposed and that should be private is someone who is clueless about what it means to be American in the United States. Trump is our employee. He's our employee.
That's correct, Beth. Say it one more time, Beth.
Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States of America, is the employee of Americans. He is our employee.
Y'all heard it here, and you heard it right. Damn right.
We really need to remember that every single day.
We do.
And that is actually what should be charging our energy and our anger and targeting it towards ousting this man from office. Before we go,
strengthening our resolve. Hold on, strengthening our resolve to make them be accountable, Beth, because what used to be the White House daily briefing is now the White House quarterly briefing. Again, totally unacceptable, lack of transparency and accountability to the people for whom they work. They work for us. We don't work for them. Give us what we're paying for, God damn it. And one other note, I just want to give a shout out to Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham, who is withdrawn all New Mexico National Guard troops away from the border, citing the reality that there is no goddamn crisis at the border. In particular, in New Mexico, she pulled those troops back and sent those people home to be with their families. Kudos to Governor Lujan Grisham for doing that. And Beth, you wanted to give a few shout outs before we go?
Yeah. My friend Missy Sis, haven't chatted with her on Facebook in a while, but she's watching. Her son serves in the military of the United States. She's a proud military mom and just a really great, cool person in Missy.
Thank you.
Our friend Michael Waldrop from Atlanta. Our friend Marissa from there in Santa Fe. My mom Liz from Virginia, the place we were just talking about, Southern Virginia, and James Washington.
In
Hi,
Texas.
thanks for joining us tonight. Be sure to tune in on Sunday to Call to Reason. Loveless, you want to shout out the time spice? I know you're much better than that.
Yeah, just want to remind everybody, we're going to have a great, robust show on Sunday. It'll be 8 to 10 here in Santa Fe, 10 to noon on the East Coast, 9 to 11 in the Central Time Zone, and 7 to 9 a.m. on the West Coast. We'll be with you on Sunday, Call to Reason Reality Talk Radio. We want to say thanks again to Keishi, the Zuni Connection, and Legacy Pond for your sponsorship and support. We'll see you all again Sunday morning. Make sure you tune in. You can listen at santafe.com. If you can't catch it on Talk 1260 and 1037 KTRC here in Santa Fe, you can also catch us right here on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. We'll be with you Sunday morning. We can't wait. I may do another podcast and may be able to talk Beth into it if something hot happens tomorrow, because I'm feeling like somebody's going to get indicted tomorrow. Stay tuned just in case. Just in case. Y'all stay tuned. You might see us, but for sure you'll see us Sunday morning. And until then, bless y'all. Have a great Thursday and peace.
Happy Thursday.